Hello and welcome to TJF Talks. I'm Chris.
And I'm Cheetah, and on the podcast today we will talk to some notables about jazz, the life, the vibes, the music, and anything else that comes up, and something we like to call improvisations. Sort of like improv and jazz, but it's a conversation.
I love that. And today we welcome Dr. Angelo Versace. He's a pianist, composer, and director of jazz studies at the University of Arizona. He was a protege of the late Mulgrew Miller. Angelo has shared the stage with some of jazz's finest and continues to inspire as both a performer and an educator. Here in Tucson, he's a vital part of the jazz community, collaborating with the Tucson Jazz Festival and also shaping the future of jazz in our city.
He talks about highlights of his time learning with Mulgrew Miller, of course, how his students have influenced him, and taking risks, which are really cool notes about taking risks, not only in life, but of course, learning and teaching music. So take a listen, take a view, see what you think on the show today.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So we kind of start this way. We do something called improvisations where pretty much anything is fair game, and we just play off of whatever you tell us and ad lib, and that's kind of how improvisation works, as you know.
It's a true jazz approach to doing an interview. So you ready? Let's do this. All right. So did you choose the piano or did it choose you?
My mom chose it
for
me, and she taught my brother and I piano when I was 5, and I had a knack for it, and so I kept going from there.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then as I got older, my buddies who played bass and drums and they really wanted me to get into jazz were like, oh, piano's easy. You just play melody and chords in your left hand, and that's all it is. And so that's how I started.
Really?
When I was 13 or something, 12, when I really got into it. So
That's when you started the jazz.
the jazz part of it, yeah.
You love it when someone says, oh, it's just this and this.
Yeah.
Super easy. Just do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So how many of your childhood hours did you waste practicing in piano instead of pursuing your true dream of being a professional basketball player?
Oh, wait a minute. How do you know this?
Oh, man. Yeah. I like sports, but it was always music. In fact, like where I grew up, like the culture of all my friends was not so much into sports. It was way more into music, which was convenient. And so we spent a lot of time just individually, but also just together playing and practicing and learning things and all at our instruments. And It was a really cool way to grow up. And also my two best friends' dads were music teachers and really knowledgeable about jazz. And so I was very blessed growing up that way.
Did you live in a small town, or where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town called Indiana, Pennsylvania, which is in western PA.
Yeah, okay.
And outside of their influence, I have no business being into jazz, having the experiences that I did, but with my two best buddies and then their dads helping, and then our connection to Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah, so I always think about this, how life takes its turns of where we end up and what we're doing. And of course that circumstance is truly unique and it got you to where your path is. But do you think part of you believes that still would have happened, but it may have manifested it differently?
Yeah, I mean,
you're a talented piano player. You have a knack for it, right? It would have shown up somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, yeah, I'm a man of faith, so I believe God would have maybe pushed me into it one way or the other.
Yeah. I can see that. So you studied with famous Mulgrew and Mulgrew Miller. And so what's the most important lesson he passed on that you still carry on and maybe you tell your students today? Or do they hear Mulgrewisms, in your teaching?
Yeah. That's a really good question. When Mulgrew died, there were a bunch of things written about him, and every one of them captured what I think all of us who knew him knew about him, which was that he was so kind to everybody all the time. And if somebody had something not nice to say about another musician around him, he would just kind of quash that kind of talk. I mean, you're a musician, you understand.
I understand that.
The gossip slander thing that goes on. I mean, everybody has something bad to say about somebody else eventually. Mulgrew never took part in that and was such a gentle spirit all the time. And I really mean that.
Wow.
And so the the lesson, I think it was the biggest thing from him to everybody else, was that character is important.
Wow.
Character really matters. And there's things in life like character that are more important than music, which shape you who you are. Yeah. So, and then musically speaking, he was always telling us about, you have to really learn how to listen. So listening properly to the masters of our music, and listening when you're on the bandstand the proper way, or listening to people like him as they would kind of give you little, amazing things about jazz history through his experience. You'd catch it here or there. So just the being a human being and listening in the right way all the time. He talked a lot about that when we were around him.
I love the little tidbits that happen in music education that are about real life qualities and characteristics that we need to carry on, even if you're not a professional musician. I mean, you mentioned having character and listening, and I think that's what you said. I wasn't really paying attention, but
Perfect. Perfect.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great interview, Chris. You're doing really well so far. So you taught all over the world, but you've called Tucson home for like at least a decade now. What is it about Tucson's jazz community that feels unique?
Well, for the size of it, it's really deep. The strength of players that live here, I would say, rivals really anywhere.
I would agree with you.
There are a lot of strong musicians. There's also, especially because we have the Century Room now, but I mean, even before then, there's a really interesting sense of community that is very easy to step into.
Mm-hmm.
It's really wonderful. And so, yeah, those two things I think make it really unique.
It is really open arms, and I think that's in all genres, because there could be, say, a metal musician that's just as open and welcoming of jazz, or a fiddle player, like country fiddle.
I see that happening all the time.
So
yeah.
I think that goes along with what you're saying.
Yeah, and I know for myself personally, I choose to live in Tucson because I sense that sense of community within us, and not only within the circle of musicians that we have, but within the population as well. If you were to give the music, jazz scene, if it was a dish, what flavor would it be?
The jazz scene in Tucson?
Yeah, like the jazz community, like what you're talking about, that sense of community. What flavor would that dish be?
Well, it's got to be something like Mexican, right?
Right. Or
to reflect here.
Yeah,
some kind of spice.
Something kind of spicy. Yeah,
something from BK's, or I don't know.
What excites you about the students that you work with today?
Oh, man. So much. I mean, first of all, they have such a better sense of how to learn because they know about the resources available to them, like straight out the gate.
Yeah.
And sometimes that access can be a bad thing, where you have so many options for what you can listen to that you just...
It's overload?
Yeah, it's overload, and you're on your phone anyways, so you just end up not even listening properly. But in other ways, the students that we have are really serious musicians, and they know a lot about the history of music and tradition of jazz music in a way that's really profound. I think that's really cool.
Do you think it's because of their access and ability to access information? Like you mentioned the phones. Like, is it from that? Because when we were kids, like we were talking earlier, I could play basketball or run down the street or
I had to go to the library
a myriad of things.
to go listen to an old jazz.
That's valid too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I grew up just early enough to where I didn't have the internet growing up in the same way. So I experienced something similar. If you didn't have access to something like a library or people to directly tell you about something to listen to, you just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But these kids that are coming in, they have access to great programs that help them learn. that utilize things like Spotify and YouTube, and the
Mhm.
things they have access to. And so they come in pretty knowledgeable because of places like the Tucson Jazz Institute, or we had a summer jazz series for years at the University of Arizona. They take advantage of that. So they come in with a good amount of knowledge, which is fantastic. I mean,
You mentioned in the pursuit of jazz education and students that you said sometimes they don't listen properly.
Mm.
What does that mean?
well, it could mean a number of things. It's as a jazz musician, when you're playing, you have to have like I've heard one person describe it as multiple sets of ears in the moment.
Mhm.
So one set of ears is listening to where are we in the form. Another part of your brain or set of ears is, okay, what's the chord I'm on currently? How am I going to play on this? Another is, what's that person playing and how can I interact with it?
Mhm.
Another one is, what's the arc of the arrangement or the song and how can I contribute to that? And so to listen properly is to learn how to listen to all of those things. On top of all that, as a jazz musician, you might get put in a situation where somebody starts playing a song and you don't know it. And so you have to learn how to use your ears and listen to the harmony and the form and pick up on things really quickly. And so there's that aspect to it too. And for our students, we get into like such a nitty-gritty, nuance about, what is the exact way that this person would phrase something that you can learn from, all the way down to like minute details of their sound or their tone or their vibrato, things like that. So,
And I think there are some that don't realize the levels of complexity that's going on. All those layers of ears that you just mentioned, they just like, well, they're just out there just jamming. Like, they have no idea, right? That there's like, I think it's our job as performers, and maybe you would agree that maybe the audience won't know that all those layers are going on, and that they can just take the music in as they receive it on their own light, right?
absolutely. I mean, part of our job as musicians is to hopefully the audience doesn't know that that's happening.
Yeah.
They're not aware of, oh, yeah, something's messing up right now.
Right.
But instead, they're just taken out of their lives for a second and they're enjoying what's happening and they're able to focus on that instead of whatever mundane worries they have
Yeah.
coming into that.
So you teach, you compose, you perform, you're raising a family. So at home, do the kids think of you as like, oh, he's the cool dad that plays jazz, or is he the annoying dad that's playing piano while they're trying to watch Paw Patrol?
So, it's funny you say that. My son loves Paw Patrol
figured.
and constantly wants to watch
Because why
Paw
wouldn't
Patrol.
you?
Yeah, why would you? It's the best show on TV, obviously.
Honestly, that's really funny. I don't get why that's so popular, but yeah, my son loves it.
Yeah.
We listen to music all the time with them, and we do things like I dance with them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And
Are
they
there
actually-
videos of that? No, I guess not.
yeah,
what we're going for.
not available right now.
Okay.
And like if I go over to the keyboard, my kids want to come and play with me. So they're
That's
still young
great.
enough to where they're really into what I'm into.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so my wife and I really want to keep that going as long as we can. As long as they're interested in what we do, we encourage that. And,
And you're teaching them how to take risks then, because that's
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like they know the names, like someone like Mulgrew, they know who that is because we have an Alexa, so we'll be like,
Yeah.
Alexa, play Mulgrew. And my son will be like, Alexa, play Mulgrew Miller. He'll actually
Oh,
say it out loud.
really?
My wife's name is ABBA. He'll say, Alexa, play ABBA because he knows the band. Play Dancing Queen. He'll say that kind of thing because he knows
Love
it.
it.
And so, yeah, they love music because we love music and they love the piano.
Oh, we used
'cause
to
I
have
played
dancing
piano.
parties too. I'd love that. And
We have instruments for them and they play like tambourine and things. They just pound to the beat and it's
That's awesome.
it's actually a unique joy in life when
Mhm.
a musical parent gets to experience listening to music and playing music with their kid.
Mhm.
It's a really cool thing.
does it change like your professional view, like when you're working with college students or like you're on the bandstand? Does it inform that in any way?
Sure. Gratitude, maybe patience,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think about how, like, when I was a kid, how I knew nothing.
Yeah.
And so you can see the different stages of development from someone who's just starting.
Yeah.
Like my son can sing and match pitch, and then to the kids who are still going into college and still, are learning, and they're farther ahead in the development. So you can kind of see the progression. And
Yeah.
maybe I put myself in their parents' shoes a little bit and think about
Mhm.
how special it is in that stage of their development. Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that Mulgrew thing of character.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. And you're just building it in different ways at different stages of life. That's very cool. So we have the jazz festival here in town.
Yeah.
What does a festival like that mean to you and your students at the university and the community as a whole?
Well, the community is, I think, the best part of it. My dean at the University of Miami used to say music is like the mortar of humanity,
Oh, wow.
which I think is a really profound and
Yeah.
really true statement, because my students and the other faculty I teach with, we're not all the same. We have very differing views and things, and we come from different places. We don't all look alike. And yet it's something that we all come together on, and it's real. There's fewer and fewer things like that in this life and it's profoundly meaningful.
Yeah.
When that happens. And my students and I, a lot of us, we all love a lot of the same musicians. And so, for instance, this coming festival, when Jeremy Pelt comes to play with us, like my students, some of whom already know who he is and some may not yet, they're gonna be wowed in this really magical and unique way, and we'll all be there together in that. And that the concert last year with Gunhild Carling, it was that same like magical. We're together in this, and the community that came to see it was together to see these kids play as well as they did, and be there with this master entertainer that Gunhild was.
Yeah.
That is one of the best parts of the festival. The most meaningful parts to me is the community building of it. It's pretty phenomenal.
Do the kids generally know coming into the class, say it's their first year, do they know, oh, and I also will benefit from the festival being in town? So is that something that they're clearly aware of when they come into the school?
Absolutely.
That's great.
I use that as a recruiting
Oh, wonderful.
technique.
Yeah.
I talk about how, I work closely with the festival. I'm on the board of it. A lot of us work in the festival, and it happens every year, and the students get to play in the festival, and the executive director, Gris, has pledged to keep working with us, and we bring in clinicians, and it's like a unique part of being a U of A student is the festival that happens in January.
Yeah. And
students have just come to expect it.
And it's a unique part. It's part of our mission statement to make sure that
Yeah.
we engage local community and that we're providing education and a wide berth. It's what we do with you guys at the University of Arizona and other schools around the community, and bringing artists into the spaces. You talked about community and the community within an ensemble itself, and then the community that you reach through the performance. So it brought up an interesting thought I had, and I want your opinion on it, is that space that happens in a rehearsal room and how unique and how special that can be. And you only get it in the rehearsal room, and how that compares to the space of being on the performance stage. And maybe it's an unfair question to ask, which one is greater? Like where are your maybe I could frame it this way. Where are your best favorite moments working with students? Is it in the rehearsal process, or is it in the completion process, quote unquote completion process, on the stage when you perform?
Man, I have to think about that for a while to really give you the best answer, I think. But maybe off the top of my head, sheesh.
Is that a completion point, though, for every, I guess, student or even professional like yourself? Is performing on the stage the completion of something?
Yeah, I mean, it can be if it's the last time we're playing the music. Sometimes it's not, and so it's part of the process. Oftentimes, maybe you've caught me doing this, when we're on the stage and performing, I'm quietly, so that the audience will not see, still teaching them. So if things are happening in a way where I want them to be different or better, that's my role as a teacher doesn't end because we happen to be performing.
Right.
And great directors are able to do this. They're not like doing that to humiliate the students in front of the audience. It's not that at all. We're still getting better here. let's do this together.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like the continuation of that. Maybe I just view it as one thing from the rehearsal process to the performance process.
Right.
And so I really get to know the students really well we have 3 rehearsals that are an hour and a half a week, each rehearsal.
Yeah.
We're 4.5 hours a week together.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of time, and the dedication they put in and the expectations I put on them and seeing them achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, like I said, we'll be on stage and I'm still
Right.
pushing for things, and they're with me in it. Like, they are wanting to go for something because they know the potential of how great they are as musicians. When they dedicate themselves to that, the potential is high. I mean, really high.
Yeah.
Some of the best experiences I've had living here have been not me playing, standing in front of the band and seeing what they achieve. It's a unique thing.
And would you say that some of those experiences happen with just you and the 18, 19 people in the room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Was that feeling, that, excitement that comes from doing that, was that always something that you knew you had and wanted to teach with and receive from teaching? And was teaching always on your list of things to do with your talents?
I knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was young. I didn't know what it would look like. And they hired me knowing that I had never directed a big band before.
Oh.
Wow.
So coming into the job, it was a little bit of a risk on their part. But I have found that, number one, I think I have a knack for it. I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And so maybe when I was younger, I didn't think ahead to, I really want to be directing a big band, or I really want to be directing a combo like that. But instead, I knew I wanted to be in the classroom somewhere. Both my parents are teachers, so it kind of, I saw what they did. But then when I've gotten the opportunity to do this sort of thing, it's uniquely rewarding. I mean, I really love getting to do what I do with the big band that is at the school.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So when you sit down at the piano, which is your major instrument, as we discussed, and you're going to improv or just practice or do something, what kind of risk do you generally take? Like, how do you push yourself?
Well, in a number of ways. So I often am like learning music for people that are coming, and I have to, some of it's like difficult, and I actually have to work on things to get better.
Yeah.
You know what this is like.
Yeah,
Somebody
I do.
comes through and you have to actually work on some things, and doesn't just come right naturally to you right away. So that's definitely part of it. Other things are just like general pianistic things that we work on so that we don't lose the facility that, and so part of that's doing exercises or etudes or things that keep me fresh so that I'm not just like stagnating and I'm continually challenging myself. Another part of that is writing music. So constantly revising, editing, and revising. Again, you know what this is like as a composer yourself. So any and all those things.
Yeah. Can you recall a time where like you did an improv and it went like so not the direction that you wanted to, but at the same time it became such a wonderful expression that you didn't know you had?
Yes. You just explained that really well. I mean, being a good improviser means you have to live in the moment. And so sometimes that moment won't be the moment you had the last time you played the same song.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you can do as an improviser is to, I guess, try to live up to that really amazing time you played it.
That expectation.
The expectation of it. That's not a healthy way, I don't think, to improvise. It's about, you might end up somewhere else. That's okay. And it could be something that's really special that you didn't plan on.
Yeah.
Well, it would seem that if you're improvising and you do end up in the same place that you did before, are you really improvising?
That's a good question.
We get all philosophical here.
Yeah.
Music.
It's like building the bag of tricks that you have, right? That's kind of an interesting thing. So, wow. So we always in the podcast we will ask a former, somebody that you know. We'll talk to them and have them ask a question.
Okay.
So reached out to Autumn Dominguez, who's a former student of yours.
Yeah.
And she wanted to ask you this. If you could give all your students one golden piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question.
That's, I would expect nothing less from
From-
Autumn. Yeah,
Was she on the podcast?
she was.
She was recently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should. You if you're listening, you should go listen to Autumn
Mm.
Dominguez and her podcast. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, I would say to be someone like her, actually. So Autumn, to make a living in music these days is difficult.
It is.
And someone like Autumn inspires me because I know that when she moved to New Orleans, she was immediately open to doing anything, any work she could do in the field of music that wasn't just directly playing saxophone.
Mhm.
So there's different things she did. I know she worked for there was a big band in New Orleans she worked for at a time, and other things that she did that were all in the realm of music that will all lead toward a career in music. And so having that open-mindedness and also, I guess, assertiveness, determination, willing to work hard, but maybe not in the exact area that you maybe thought you might. That she's lived it out. I mean,
She has.
that type of
And be willing to grow.
yes,
I can hear that in her playing 100%.
yes.
Well, and it's risk taking.
It is.
It
yeah,
is
it goes
risk-
back to that. Yeah.
It's not being afraid of change and risk taking, and knowing that you're working towards something that keeps you in music. And so, yeah, for certain people that can be really discouraging if you have a very one track, like this is what I want to do and I don't want to divert from it. That wouldn't have worked for me. I mean, this job that I have is not just jazz piano.
Right.
I am doing so many other things, but in the face of that, and when I jumped into it, it was a whirlwind, and I found out I love doing what I do. Teaching all these different jazz classes and directing the bands and organizing guest artists coming through and all that kind of stuff. I love it. Yeah, it takes a certain amount of openness, maybe humility, to be on that type of track.
Yeah.
So that would be the advice that I'd give.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So we ask one question of everybody. So I want to hear your answer to this. And the question is, why does live music matter? And we can go specifically, why does live jazz music matter?
Man. Well, many, many reasons. There are many reasons why live jazz music matters. The people like Mulgrew, who are unfortunately not, Mulgrew's not with us anymore. He died when he was 57
Wow.
in 2013. People like him, to me, are important parts of American history. And as an American musician, it's important to keep this music alive. It is really important. I mean, this goes without saying, whenever this podcast airs, our country is crazy. People are maybe too online and too addicted to the thing called doom scrolling. And live music gets the performer and the listener out of that cycle where you're just sitting and looking at someone playing, or you're playing yourself and you're not on the internet. It's so healthy. It is so healthy to do that. And that's one of the things about my students, too, is they come to school. Yes, they are more maybe online than I was when I went to school, but they understand the health of that, like putting the phone down and practicing for 3 hours.
And being present. at the
Present
moment.
in the moment. Yes, exactly. Present in that moment and working on something there. There's few things that are like that we get to do, to just get away from the insanity that is our culture sometimes. So
Music's good for the soul.
It is very good for the soul.
And so, wow, I can't tell you what a delight it's been to talk with you today.
Yes.
Dr. Angelo Versace from the University of Arizona Department Jazz Studies. And you have been a wonder to talk to, and we're going to have to do this again. There's probably 100 more questions that we could
absolutely.
ask you.
A minimum of
Yeah.
100 more questions.
Right.
Where can we find out more about you? I know you play at the Century Room, and you don't. Do you have a website, Insta socials?
Yes, my
doom
website's
scrollers.
my name. Yeah. My website's just my name, angeloversace.com. And then, we have a website, too, for the jazz program, jazz.music.arizona.edu. So there
That's
you go.
wonderful.
All right.
Yeah.
So we can
Great.
figure out where you are and come and see you.